What's up?
Great to have you here. You're very welcome. Yeah,
Man,
pick it up. Pick up your
sir.
signature axe. I know a lot of people don't like when it's called an axe, but
I love it. I love that.
man, first of all, congratulations for that. That is a huge deal.
Thank you, man. Thank you, man.
That is
Me
a huge
and
deal. Yeah,
Jeff.
show it off.
Yeah, man. This is it.
Wow.
This is based off of the first model Jeff ever actually hands-on designed and had programmed and cut out. But we actually fused the SCB, which is the single cut bevel, with the Aries cuts. So this
Right.
is an Aries. This is basically a single cut Aries guitar. So we just
Love it.
we just looked at every nook and cranny of it and just dug it out and figured
And
out something Al Joseph-esque.
yeah, how many iterations did you go through before you settled on that one?
Yeah. So this one is so let's see. So we tried. Let me go back. I got to go like 2 years, 3 years back. Okay, so we did the solo, which is the telly style.
Mhm.
And which is not the single cut bevel style, but still I wanted to try the solo just to see what's up. I really liked it, but I was like, okay, finally, after getting a few guitars, I was like, I'll do a single cut bevel, because he was like, dude, I think you're gonna love the single cut bevel. You
Right.
should do the single cut bevel. I was like, okay, I got all my guitars. Show me the single cut bevel. So we did a white one.
Mhm.
And the white one is just basically the same thing, only the bevel is actually more shallow, so it kind of stops about here, goes all the way through. And it was my idea to do the flame maple. You can see that too. The camera's picking that up nicely, like how deep that grain is.
Lovely.
Man, these woods are incredible. But anyway, we did the white with the flame maple all the way through. With the flame maple board and all the gold and whatnot. And I really love white and gold, and I love the white block, which is, we're gonna bring that back, okay, like eventually. And then we did a blue one, which was the same one, which is just a regular SCB. So that's back at my place. So I have that one, and then I love that one so much. I don't know what it was. I think when I first met Jeff at, I think, NAMM 2019, I think it must have been 2019 or 2020. I forget which one, but COVID's messed everything up. But
Yep.
I just remember him being like, hey, I heard what happened at the other company. Like, let's do a blue and gold. I think I have a finish that you're gonna love. So I was like, I don't want to open up that can of worms. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, when something like that goes down, I just forget about it. Like, I just move on, like it was the only color they can give me at the time anyway.
Yeah.
So it wasn't even like blue had this huge affinity for me. It was just one of those colors. But now it does. Jeff definitely brought it back with the first blue SCB. I wish I brought it here, but that fucking thing, man, when I plugged it in, I played it, I just couldn't put it down, like, really. And I was like, okay, cool, so we're doing this.
Yeah.
And then I already had an Aries, so I wanted to kind of like, I wanted this guitar to feel like a shred guitar, but I didn't want it to look like one per se, So yeah, here it is. And it was my idea to stop the bevel here, actually, just to pronounce the single cut kind of tradition, But as you can see, I mean, like it goes all the way around.
Yeah.
The binding, it's just like I'm dead.
And what about Kiesel guitars, and especially your model, do you think matches with the genre of music that you play?
Thanks for asking that, by the way, because no one asks that. So no one's asked me that yet. So
that's why I'm a professional.
Yeah, there you go. The thing for me, number one, I have to say this, and I gotta go with the relationship. I gotta go with, my buddy at Jim Dunlop, and now he's the head AR guy at Kiesel. I remember doing this Players Pick podcast with Chris Johnson here in East LA when he was here. And this guy's got like fucking 34 Kiesels. And I'm just like, I'm an evidence guy, I'm not, don't even try that shit with me. And I picked up a few, played them, put them down, picked it up, played them, put them down. He saw the gears turning in my head, whatever. And then I get to NAMM and excuse me. He just hit me up. He's like, Al, come to the Kiesel booth right the fuck now. I was like, okay. Made my way over there, and it's just him, Jeff sitting in the back. And Jeff had reached out, he had his guys reach out a couple times years before. So it was just the hospitality, man. It was just the hospitality, getting to sit down with guys like Andy James and Frank Mbali, just these real characters, these real people. These people, they have success, they have massive success. But I love it when I'm talking with somebody and it's like, okay, let's put the bullshit aside and talk like men, let's just talk. Right. And that's the vibe I get with Jeff as well. We get along really well. We're pretty much the same dude, only, we have a different hue going on, but literally like brother from a different mother type of vibes, and of course with Chris being there. And I just love that. And then going to the shop, seeing everybody so happy to work there. So many people happy to work there. It made me, so getting to the guitar, it made me reconsider a lot of the different notions, the different biases that I had before that I had gotten used to with Ibanez and with, other companies. And man, I got to tell you, man, it's just like, where do I even begin? Not only are the ergonomics together, I feel like, this guitar is like built Ford tough. If you know what I mean, it's not necessarily the European vibes, but you can fly on this thing. And it seemed like he worked out a lot of the things that these other companies haven't worked out, like, drop tuning a 7-string, right? With a 25.5-inch scale length, keeping that tightness on the low, this low A, which I have right now. It's like, every note is pronounced. There's no flub, there's no spaghetti, there's no bullshit, there are no dead notes. I mean, the dude has gone through and combed through every aspect of what makes a guitar great.
How flat is the neck, by the way?
It's like,
like how flat do they go? Does Kiesel only go to, I shouldn't say only go, the max they go to is 20 as far as the radius?
Oh, they do 20-inch radiuses, and I have to try that. That's another thing that they made me reconsider, which he was like, I think you love the 14-inch radius on a 7. And I was like, I'm used to like 17, 18, but I tried it and I've been using 14-inch radius every time on all my custom guitars. Oh, so I'm curious now to do another build and put it in for a 20-inch radius and see what happens. But I love the fact, I love having a lower radius, it's a lower number, right? Yeah. So I love having a lower radius because it does give you a lot of those like harmonics when you bend. Mm-hmm. And if you set it up right, you're not going to get any choking out on the neck or anything like that at the top. So it's a nice blend, So, I mean, if you played this and, hopefully we'll meet soon. I mean, you can see, it's not, you can play it. It's a heavy guitar. I'm trying to work out the kinks with that. But honestly, man, like, I don't give a shit. Like, if the thing sounds like this, like the way that it sounds, like, I'm probably not going to trade that. I don't need my guitar to weigh 2 pounds, like, it's got heft and for a good reason. And like, using the mahogany, Honduran mahogany for the body and chambering it out. It's just like, I mean, it's just night and day as far as like, the commercial, African mahogany and all that stuff. So I geek out over this guitar.
I can tell.
Yeah, man. I'm super excited about them, man. And I'm glad to, be able to talk with somebody who can share the excitement. So
that's cool. That's so cool. Yeah. No, we kind of started at the end because nobody starts with getting their signature guitar before they even practice the note. So I have a suspicion about what kind of music you heard growing up, and but I want
Go
you
ahead,
to
shoot
tell
for it.
me. I want you to tell me what kind of music, predominantly, if you can remember, were you exposed to as a child?
Interestingly enough, well, my mother, my late mother, actually, she was a musician, singer, songwriter, just all into that. And her brothers, her sisters, like all my cousins, everybody's just into the music stuff. But they're in like the gospel R&B stuff, which I do, and I play that stuff. Like that's in my blood, it's there. But uh, oddly enough, after she passed, I needed an outlet to get into something. I got into music. It caught me by surprise. And my dad, being from Trinidad and Tobago,
Mhm.
um, I don't understand to this day how he had like 6 CDs of Joe Satriani. I have fucking no clue. I can't explain that to you.
That's funny.
I
But you
can't
never know if he,
explain.
did he have it. Did he get them in Trinidad?
No, I mean, well, no, because he moved here.
Because
Uh,
that I could understand.
okay, well, he probably, yeah, I guess I don't know how it is down there with music. Maybe it is super
I just think
diverse.
that they get some crazy stuff,
I see.
especially
That
in
makes
Trinity,
sense.
as they call it here in Miami.
Yeah, that makes sense because he's into so much weird shit, man. And like I go back in my mind. I love it, by the way. I love it. I know I don't mean to sound deprecating, but no, I love that. And I remember my dad had bought a brand new like 2001 SS Camaro, 300 horsepower. We're flying down Interstate 80. We're going 120, and he's like, "Yo, you should," because he was getting me into, I've listened to a ton of George Benson, his old cookbook stuff, to Earl Clue, to all that stuff, like the jazz stuff, the getting that into my system. John McLaughlin, Santana, like just so many of the greats there. Al Di Meola, all that stuff. And again, I don't know how he knew what that shit was, but he did. And so I ended up listening to that, and it got me into guitar. But the main thing was that ride, like when he put in Surfing with the Alien, and it's just like, how it starts, like that. So I felt like I was in a plane. I'm a kid. I want to shred. I don't know why, but I want to shred. I want distortion. I want that vibe. And also, my dad had us listening to Living Color all the time, all the time. I remember seeing them on BET for the first time and being like, "Who are these black dudes dressed
Yeah,
up like crazy motherfuckers? This is different. This is
yeah.
sick." But that was like when I was 5, 7, that range. And then I get to 14, and it's already, I just want to shred now. So,
But in during all that, I'm sorry to interrupt. During all
no,
of
no
that,
worries.
there was your mother's influence.
Oh yeah, absolutely,
So you
yeah.
had the allure of the shredness, the shredosity, and then you
Right.
also had R&B and gospel music.
Yes, like the musicality. Not that shred isn't musical, but like it's just it's less human, I would say, in a good way, than I would say like, hip hop, reggae, R&B, soul music. Like we know where that comes from. So for me, it's just like, I had all this aggression, and I was playing sports and stuff like that. It was a great outlet for me, and to also write and to deal with loss, to deal with, grieving and all that kind of stuff. So it really helped me kind of shape and mold myself as a human being, you
Did you
know.
remember your mom singing?
Oh man, like just and like I know anyone would say that about their late mother, but I'm telling you, she made churches weep, man. Like unbelievable.
So
I still
you
remember.
clearly recall her singing then.
Yeah, absolutely. All
See,
the time.
now my hypothesis has bared out, um, based upon what you just all that stuff that you said, because one of the things I think really stands out about your playing is you're not okay. First of all, we both know the inundation of shredness and that
Right,
we
right, right.
endure from Instagram.
Yeah, for
Like
sure.
it's endless, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so
Which I love. Man. I love that about. I mean, I understand the apprehension, but I say bring it on, man. I love it. You know.
the thing that makes you though stand out
Yeah.
is you have a melodic concept to your playing. Yes, you have the shred stuff, but you have a melodic thing to your playing that a lot of other guys don't have.
Well,
And I
it's
think
hard to
that,
teach.
say again?
It's hard to teach. I'll tell you that. Like I've had players reach out, and be like, and ask about that sort of thing. But I'll tell you, man, it comes from that emotional that attachment that I have, with that. And again, no one's ever asked me about this, like no one's ever kind of brought it up and asked me about the true background. And I'll tell you, that's where it is. That's
I
why the standard's there. Yeah.
I think that that's your mom singing coming through
Oh
your.
man, it is. I that's crazy that you can pick that up. We've never even talked before.
Um,
Wow, I appreciate
yeah,
that.
you're very welcome. That's what I sensed, and I actually was like, I went back and listened to it again because I was like, do I have this right? And as soon as I heard.
That's the terrestrial music. Oh man, it's a guest solo. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you the question that I'm sure
Sure.
people are wondering. Well, one of the many, and that is, did you write that solo, or is that solo improvised?
I don't improvise. I consider myself sort of like a violin player, like I like to execute. I've tried like the improvisational stuff. My brain doesn't work like that, honestly.
So a mutual friend of ours, Juan Das, said that
Oh, Juan, dude. All right, dude. That
said,
dude's a monster, man.
yeah, Juan's great. He's
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
He said that he met you at Berkeley. So
Yeah, we've been homies at Berkeley for since ever
so
since.
I'm sure at Berkeley they pushed you off the edge and they were like, Al, improvise.
Yeah, like it was weird because like look, I don't want to talk any shit on Berkeley, but Berkeley, this is one thing that they got to get their shit together with is like,
Oh, just
you know,
one thing.
right? There's only one thing.
Oh
No.
wow. Wait, let me write this down.
And how you going to get great players to come out of here if they got to like play jazz for 2 years? I was depressed, man. I was actually depressed. I didn't listen to Dream Theater for like over a year. I didn't listen to any of the stuff I liked for over a year because of all the stuff that I felt that I had to study.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, like once I just kind of broke out of that and said, okay, enough of the fucking enough, man, enough. Like I'm gonna do what I want to do. I left, and then right after that, I got the Jam Track Central gig. You know, so like,
well,
pulling
in
together,
my video,
you know?
which I might link here, should you go to music school?
Woo!
Oh, you're
It
telling me.
depends.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Uh, I talk about well, the only thing about Berkeley that I mention is the price, but the only problem
Oh,
was I didn't have
absolutely.
enough screen space to put all the zeros. You know what I'm saying? That's very interesting that you did go to Berkeley and the experience that you had. I've talked with many people, obviously in my job, about going to music school, the pros and the cons, and how it can do exactly what happened to you. You could become very depressed there, or you could have an amazing time.
Yeah,
There's so
sure.
many factors. Obviously, we don't have to breach this massive
Yeah.
topic about music school.
Right.
But
Right.
guys, if you're interested, check out my video about should you go to music school. There are interviews with Scott Henderson, late great Dan Warner, all these people, plus some comparisons. If you're interested about music school, how important do you think music theory is?
This is a good question because for me, it's like it's literally two worlds living side by side, and you got to live on both of them. On one end, you just got to be able to hear what's appropriate, but if you want to dig deeper and you really want to optimize that, I think that you should know theory, but you should only learn theory in a very like ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of way. But that ABC 1, 2, 3 kind of approach has to also encapsulate all a very deep dynamic, the deepness of how far you can go with theory. Like for example, like if you're looking at modal interchange, like one of my favorite modal interchange things is like exchanging the 4 for the minor 4. So if you're playing on majors, just a major chord progression, I like to grab a chord from like a different mode, like say melodic minor or minor, and go.
Al, it sounds like you're improvising.
I can, and I do. Of course, like you got to be able to teach super complex stuff with a deepness to it in a very deliverable way. And like I think that's the way theory should be taught. And I think anyone who's getting into theory should be very, very careful, right? You should be looking at the teacher, reading the teacher, asking yourself, do I understand what he's saying? Am I moved by what he's saying? Am I already in the musical situation by what he's saying? Or is he just throwing a bunch of information at me?
Right.
Oh, yeah.
So you would recommend to your fans and your students that are watching this that they should stick their big toe into the theory.
Oh yeah. Yes, yeah. You got to know theory if you want to go to the next level, and again, be playful with it. You know, you got to be playful. You got to be, you have to have fun with it. And again, you don't want people who don't necessarily listen to as much music as you are, or don't necessarily know what you're doing, to be like, God, it's clustered notes and whatever the hell he's doing. It's annoying. Just play a major chord, you don't want to be that person either. So in my opinion, so again, but there's people who do it very classy, but got to figure that out.
What does having good chops mean to you? Like what is that all about?
I remember hearing an interview by Greg Howe years ago, and he easily quickly became one of my favorite players. I follow everything he did, and he said that he doesn't necessarily see the notes individually. He doesn't see the speed. He sees the cluster of notes as its own color. And I always felt like that was like the vibe. When I'm listening to Greg Howe, he's like one of the few fusion players that I've heard that can throw, accidentals or chromaticism in there, and it actually sound like diatonic, like actually sound like to like what the harmony is going in the background of the music, So
This is a big topic, by the way, that
yeah.
some unnamed people talk about, is the kind of use of chromatics that we hear that just sound so bad.
Yeah.
So bad.
I know.
You can really take a left turn if you don't have a handle on, like what you said earlier about, you have to know the context, and I mean orally.
Yes. Yeah. Because, okay, so like that's what we were talking about before. Like,
It's a slippery slope.
yeah. Well, I feel like a lot of players miss this part, interpretation. Like when you hear like these old heads, like even if you're talking about jazz, and I have way more respect for those guys than a lot of the players today. Like it's just, I feel like life had a different story for them. And this is big. This is like a huge part of music that people don't talk about. The shit that they were going through on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm gonna add to that.
Yeah.
Sax heavy Gary Thomas is hopefully going to be doing an interview. We're going to be doing an interview together and talking about that exactly. And
Wow.
that's going to lead me into this next thing. But I didn't mean to interrupt, but I
No
did.
worries.
Is the there is a cultural effect on what you do,
Yes.
or what the kind of music that you put out. And
Yeah, because I just feel like that's one of the annoying things about how prevalent guitar is in the ether right now.
Yep.
Is just like, what are you writing about? Like, what are you saying? And I got to hold myself to that standard too, but still.
Now this is going to maybe ruffle some of the delicate musician feathers, but but I'm a feather ruffler, and you seem to be too. So who cares, right?
Yeah.
One of the things that that we talked about before we went on camera is the particular landscape of players that we have, or that are in the metal scene, and you're quite different from them for one main reason.
Right.
You're an African American who plays guitar, and there's not a lot of African American metal players.
Right.
And I'm very interested to know, what has your experience been? But before you tell me what your experience has been, it's important for people watching this to understand that black guitar players are not a new thing.
No, thank you. Thank you.
Right? Black guitar players are not a new thing. Charlie Christian, Freddie King, B.B. King, Albert King,
Buddy.
Chuck Berry.
Right.
Of course, everybody knows Hendrix, and Robert Cray was very famous at one point.
Yep. A bunch
Vernon
of
Reed.
Vernon Reed. Oh yeah.
Tony McAlpine. I mean, so many black players, and we're only talking about Americans, and there are many guitar players throughout the world. And I know a lot of people are probably see you on Instagram, and they're like, what? And
yeah, I get those comments a lot. Yeah, they're the funniest one, and I just think that it's just people. And look, I went to a state college before I went to before I went to music school. And I think, and I make that point, and I think that it's very, how do I say this? Like, I think it's worth mentioning because like it put me in so many social situations that most musicians just won't be in, which is like, I don't know, just like partying with people, being with people that are like, happy-go-lucky and just like, having a great time or whatever. So they joke, they make jokes about like, so I'll hear these jokes online, like, what do they say? Like, I didn't know 50 Cent played guitar, or holy shit, I thought it was 50 Cent shredding or whatever, like that. And so like for me, I just find it funny. I don't find it racist or anything like that, because honestly, if you're my close friend and you're sitting down with me and I'm talking about another ethnic group or whatever, I have some things I say as well that are not PC. And it's not because I have any malice in my heart toward them. It's just because, dude, we're people. We're all sitting here. If somebody was
funny,
it's hilarious. So I'm not saying racism doesn't exist, and I'm also not saying that everything that makes me feel uncomfortable is racist either. So I just feel like I feel like I know I've experienced it, but when I just feel like my upbringing is like, when my dad really instilled in me is like, when you see it, handle it and move on, because that person is stuck right there. They're not, a lot of people who exhibit any kind of like racist behavior are just stuck where they're at in life, and that just sucks for them. I mean, honestly. So for me, it's like my job to kind of find a way through. But I am finding like the higher that I go, or that I reach, I am met with a lot of these questions, at least, or I am met with a lot of the interactions. But again, like you have to be strong. I mean, yeah, but I love everybody, man. Like that's just like, I feel like if you have that, then you can kind of deal with a lot of shit,
Yeah. Now tell me something. If somebody wants to study with you, what do they do?
Go to my website, aljosephmusic.com, and then just look through the courses. And like I said, I do offer private lessons, but that's going to be something that, that's my time. I could be writing music and just like moving on with my career. You know what I mean?
Do you have any new music that is coming out?
I'm in Logic right now.
Actually, you're writing as we're doing this.
Yeah, right. I'm writing with my third eye.
He's that good.
No, I was just I just closed out a session, but yeah, I'm trying to get like at least 7, maybe 9 songs in, and I'm trying to make them as epic as possible. I don't know. I'm in this mood lately right now where I just want to write shit that just really kicks ass, really shows off, but still like has that same like standard as we talked about before.
How hard should your students and your people who are going to become your students after they see this, how hard should they be working if they want to achieve approximately the level that you've achieved on guitar? How many hours a day? What do you think their protocol should be?
I mean, I practice. I mean, I was holding this before this started, So, man, I think you have to have a healthy balance of like work ethic as far as your playing is concerned. And I think you have to be writing as well. If you want to reach the next level, you got to write music too. You got to have something out there where you're listening to yourself and you're actually critiquing yourself. Because anyone can sit here and mindlessly go through notes and all this kind of shit and self-deprecate and be like, oh, I'm not as good as I want to be, blah, blah, blah. It's like, nah, write something, put it out, and where you're forced to actually listen to yourself. So I feel like, it requires that. If you want to get the most out of what I have to teach you, then I would say that would be it.
So how many hours a day?
Okay. So I wanted to avoid that because
approximately
that's the can.
Let's group it into just 2 things. One, a person who wants to be the professional, and a person who just wants to be a good. I hate to use the word amateur because it makes it sound like there's some amazing.
Like it's not a bad. Yeah, right. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Some amazing amateur players. So somebody who is not going to be doing it as a living, and somebody who is going to be doing it as a living.
Yeah, I mean, you got to be, man. you want to be great at it, and you want to be a great amateur, if you, as you put it, like 8 to 12 hours a day, man. It's got to be a full time job and shit, man. You can't be like, practicing. I tell my students to map out 2 hours of super intense time, but I mean, you shouldn't be putting this thing down, you know. So, and then if you want to make this a career, then it's 24/7. Even if you don't have the guitar with you, you got to be like, you got to be up here about it, like I remember being in the, working side jobs and stuff like that, where there'd be a supermarket or whatever, literally writing out like my chords, writing out my scales, writing out stuff that I want to do.
And what about an amateur?
Well, that's what I'm saying. Amateur, 8 to 12 hours a day. Because I mean,
that's a lot of time. What about somebody who cannot put 8 to 12 hours a day?
2 hours, 2 hours of intense time. And that's what I teach, because I know there's a lot of people that don't have that. Thanks for drawing this out of me, man. Sometimes I don't connect because it's so into this one world, but you're right. Like, I think, like, you got to give it like 2 hours, man. Like, but those hours have to be literally blocked off, and there has to be a goal. What's that?
Phone off.
Phone off, and with a method that works and stuff like that. And that's like what I provide with my lessons, like with my courses, rather, like my own courses. And of course, the JTC stuff as well. Like JTC stuff is like huge packs, lots of value. But my stuff, if you want to get like intense, you want to get into the like intent of it, like, I can help you map out 2 hours of like literally what you should do, how you should be thinking, how you should be troubleshooting your technique, how you should be like, thinking about setting milestones for the future, and what to expect at every single block of time that you lay out. Like, that's what I do.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, Al, I really appreciate the time that you've taken for this. Of course, man. I could go on for another 2 hours. But unfortunately, I dropped my lasagna into the oven.
So all right.
I didn't even have anything to eat before this. So
word, do your thing, brother.
So we will continue this some more. Like, again, I thank you for coming on here, and man, your students are going to be shredding, and I just know it.
Hell yeah.
And so in the Al Joseph fashion, right at you.
All right.